juice and lulo juice. We saw the fruit yesterday. Can I ask you something? What is that?
This is a spring roll.
Oh, just like a spring roll. Thank you so much.
You're
Perfect.
very welcome.
We live in Bogotá.
Part of that walk was on the feeding tour, right?
Oh, go Patria.
People from my own Mongolia. Yeah, my mom's still on
Have the interesting architecture.
Northwest.
Oh, this building is really nicely illuminated at night. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. Beautiful.
Yeah, what? The name rings a bell. What is it? It's a long time ago, right?
You went Boston last year.
Yeah.
Oh, how pretty. Look at that little kid.
These are some of the walls that are provided by the government, which are like not no concessions, but they have the concessions with the houses to do different contests of murals. So, for example, this one says Tejiendo Esperanza, which might be translated like waving hope. And here in this side, what I get to see is like what oil production is causing nowadays. So, you know, the death of a lot of our wildlife. Estaban felices tomando fotos a unos grafitis. Claro, es que la
Like the boots and the
Slow down
shoes.
a little bit. That one that says Jaime Garzón. Hasta aquí. ¿Hasta aquí qué? Hasta aquí las sonrisas. País de mierda. Thing is that he was a humorist. He was a political humorist. Very important, very important. Late 1980s, and he was killed in 1999. August the 13th, and probably he's for us, for Colombians, probably. I mean, he's a very important icon in, for example, if you want to become a journalist, that is a character that you have to read. He did a lot of political humor, and he was one of the first, like not one of the first, but the only humorist to get a lot of access to the government. He could go into the president's house. He made fun of the presidents of the time, that did the peace talks with the FARC in 1999. He also made fun, of course, of the guerrillas and trying to exactly show what they were trying to do in those times. Also against the paramilitaries.
No wonder he
And it was the paramilitary groups, which are the extreme right-wingers, because that is a true fact, with the cooperation of the equivalent of the CIA in Colombia, that is called DAS, killed him because he knew too much information, and he was a really big, like a really big character. If I have to choose Bolivar or Garzón, I will go with Garzón. You know, there is no doubt about it. He was like another Colombian. You know, he always made us feel that, you know, that he was one of us, that and he could be with the lead of the lead, and he never changed. So that's one of my favorite characters. And folks, I would like just to take this moment, of course, to thank you for the participation you had here in Bogota. the very first part of your experience, starting the first day with the Gold Museum, seeing this unique display of gold cassette production, more than 30,000 pieces in this museum. Also explore a little bit of the president's house. He doesn't have to live there. He has his main office there, but he can actually have the choice to live there in case he wants to. But he has another official residence all the way up to the north of the city. We also had the chance to see the Santa Clara Church, or convent, or cloister, or museum better. Then in the afternoon we went up to Monserrate Hill. We were lucky that day because it was raining, but we were lucky to go up there. We had a nice view. Not only that, and we went to play the national game, that is Tejo, which was of course part of the options. I really hope you have had fun playing what we did, but we had in our itinerary. I'm very glad we did a little bit more than that. And of course, we had the lecture, which would be which is a very interesting introduction for what we're going to see now, which is of course Medellin.
And remember, it's Colombia, not Colombia. Medellin looks very pretty. Too bad I don't have a window. There is a flower show in Medellin.
Continuamos con la entrega de equipaje por el viaje 9730 procedente de la ciudad de Bogotá.
They even covered the belt, the luggage belt, with flowers. Isn't that cute? Yay! Oh, a big one.
Raúl, te conozco. In Antioquia, as a way to approve or to say that something is cool or something is good, they might be saying bien bacano, like thumbs up and bien bacano, right? So first of all, welcome here to Antioquia. As I said yesterday, Antioquia is one of the 32 departments we have in the region, in Colombia actually. The 6th largest one. We actually crossed from the eastern range. We flew to the central range. And here is where Medellin is located. It's still in the central range. We have all the coffee region. So everything is connected. And now we'll be driving to the city of Medellin. Family here in Colombia. They are known as, they are paisas. Who is a paisa? Paisa is a person that is being born here, or that was born here in Medellin or Antioquia. Medellin, Antioquia, or the coffee region. I am not paisa at all. And I will never ever be paisa. I'm not interested in being paisa. But I would love to date a paisa girl. My girlfriend is paisa, for example. She's paisa. So paisa, it will be a way we will call these, the people from here. And they're extremely proud to be paisas. You know, they feel like they are like an independent country. For them. And the very first person that I'm going to introduce is my driver. We're not going to probably see him right now, his face, but very soon. And that is Mr. It has to be like this. Raúl, good, yeah. Good morning, Raúl. Buenos días, Raúl.
Like a football announcer.
So, Raúl is a great driver, the one and only. Paulo Alejandro Márquez Acevedo.
Whoa.
Am I right? Señor? So Paulo will be with us today and he will be with us tomorrow, right?
I feel like now I'm blushing, there's cameras in the background, I'm gonna faint here. Muy buenos dias, everybody. Good morning to everybody. It's wonderful to have you here. We have a lot of ladies, I like that. And I have some gentlemen as well, so welcome to everybody. Welcome to Antioquia, or the Paisa region, as Ernesto has told you. Very proud to have you here. I know a lot of you folks, some people back home, I ask, why Colombia? Where are you going? If you get kidnapped, don't call me for ransom money, or something along those lines. But as Ernesto is going to show you in the next couple of weeks and next few days and everything, Colombia is a beautiful country that's now open to the world, and little by little, more and more people are finding out that it's open to the world, that there's lots of great people, lots of beautiful things to see. It's about 45 minutes, an hour to get to Medellin, roughly. We're at approximately 8,000 feet above sea level, so we're pretty high, but Medellin is at about 5,000. The weather will be slightly warmer. I don't know how Bogotá has been the last few days, but it's been kind of hot here, and we've been getting a lot of overnight rain. But you can expect temperatures here, they range from 60 to 80 all year round, and it's been kind of warm for Medellin standards the last couple of weeks, so you can expect high 70s, low 80s for the next couple of days that you're here. So you can begin to shed those jackets that you brought from Bogotá, and any of that extra layers that you may have. Like Ernesto said, I'm Paulo. You can call me Paul, Paulo, however you feel more comfortable, whichever is easier for you to pronounce. So this is an area called Rio Negro. The bracelets they were giving out today at the airport, if you got one there, the young lady, is because we just started, today is the official day that it starts, the flower festival. So Medellin is known, it grows a lot of flowers, roses, carnations, different types, and we are in a week-long festival which highlights that. It is capped off by the highlight of the program, which is actually a parade of silleteros, and we'll get to show you what silleteros are, but they are actually these big flower displays that are actually carried on the back of campesinos with beautiful floral displays, which are about they're usually circular, and now mostly, since it's become very corporate, it has the logo of some companies, but also some very unique ways, and that'll be capped off, I believe, the last day, so that'll be next Sunday. But there are other events like antique car shows and some things that are going on around the city revolving around this flower festival, which is an annual event that has become a tradition here in this area, capped off by other events as well that Medellin is known for. So you'll see a lot of promotion for that, especially in the area that you're going to be tonight, which is Poblado. You'll be in a very modern area, and there should be a lot of different events that may be going on, or different things geared around or focused around this flower festival. Unlike whatever you've heard from Edgar, it's the best city in Colombia. No, it's 3.5 million, so it's quite a large city. And it is surrounded by 9 smaller cities that surround it both on the north and south end. And roughly there are 8.5, about almost close to 9 million in the Antioquia region. Remember, we call here the departments are equivalent to your state. So this is the department of Antioquia, and the city, or the municipality, we really call them municipalities here, of El Municipio de Medellin. So Medellin is the second largest, and Antioquia is the 6th largest state, and I think probably has the best infrastructure in the country, and we'll get to see some of that as well. As you see, like I said, some country homes off to the left and to the right for non-producing large quantities of goods, but folks here will grow maybe avocados, lemons, guava, not for mass production. As you can see, these are, like I said, country homes, and they run anywhere from about 500,000 and up, depending on the size of, as they call it here, lotes, or your lot. And more people are beginning to move out of the city, so the wealthier folks are starting to come here and buy up properties, build homes. as you're only about half an hour, 40 minutes outside of the city, so you can still do business, work in and out of the city, but enjoy some of the rural, better, fresher air, less congestion and traffic and things along those ways. 50,000 plus around here. That's US dollars, US dollars. Actually, those numbers begin to drop now because the dollar is extremely, extremely strong. So see a very particular tree when we start making our way down, and usually people begin to ask. When I see it over here on our right-hand side, it kind of seems silver leaf. It seems almost snow-capped on top. And I'll point it out. Some of you may have already seen it. You'll see it a lot. And it's a silver leaf cecropia. As we make our way down, you'll see it from up above. And it's called jarumo in English. I mean in Spanish. Jarumo. Here you'll see some of the most prestigious engineering universities. We do have more universities per capita here, but some of the best universities are in Bogotá, and we plan to make a stop.
We stopped to go to the supermarket.
Oh, try the chips.
The what?
The chips.
Delicious.
Esa playa. Tiene fecha de vencimiento 2 meses, desde que lo mantengan refrigerado de dura.
How much is that? Just everything?
It's for everything.
Oh, it's really good. 3 lemon.
No,
They have gorgeous potatoes. I think these are the ones for the Asiago, because they were the ones that they use. It's yellow Colombian potatoes. And the people that make the best Asiago, they say that you cannot do it with any other kind of potato. It needs to have that one. Oh my God! Look at the plantain. Huge.
No, we have the same one here.
That big? No. James Bond. 00 what? 14? Plátano though. It doesn't say banana.
It's the same.
Plátano is banana?
Yes, it's a plátano is banana.
Nicely displayed. Look at all the beautiful bread. And it's actually made here. They make it. You wonder this? Nice cuts. They have a great selection of wines. I have no idea what this is. It doesn't look edible. It looks like a plaything or something. One of them came out. So you smash it?
Sí.
And what you put it in what? In interesting. Gracias. Thank you.
A lot of people were fed up with that image that Medellin had as being the most violent city in the world, shedding the Medellin cartel's image, the bloody violence. It has changed so dramatically in the last 20 years. I know you've gotten a little bit of an introduction. It is very fascinating because it has everything that a Hollywood movie picture would have: drugs, sex, violence, etc. Actually, Tom Cruise will be in Bogotá at the end of this month filming a movie about Escobar, which will be coming out sometime in the near future. Also, those of you that have Netflix, there's a really good documentary called Capos on Netflix in English that'll show you a lot of the things that went on here. And I'll tell you a little bit about most of the information I got from a book called Killing Pablo, which was written by Mark Bowden, author of Black Hawk Down, if you've seen that movie about the the Black Hawk helicopter that went down in Somalia. Very good book because it's in English first and foremost. You can also go on YouTube and he narrates an hour and 20-minute documentary, very graphic. YouTube and put Killing Pablo, and it shows all the images of these bombings, the political figures, who was who, what role the United States played in it. The United States played a very vital role, not only with your tax dollars, hundreds of millions of tax dollars went to that, but also some very elite secretive agencies like Delta Force, which is a very hush-hush, to say the least, entity of the U.S. Army. And starting about Escobar, Escobar was born in 1944 in an area of Rio Negro where you landed, that area of Antioquia. Like a lot of families, they moved to Medellin seeking better opportunities. The larger cities have better education, better health care, a lot more job opportunities. He came from a very humble upbringing. His mother was a school teacher and his father was a farmer. So it was a humble beginnings, but he began a life of crime very early on, stealing cars, moving contraband around the country, illegal cigarettes, marijuana, and even stealing grave headstones from cemeteries, and they would sand them down and resell them. He put a very ambitious, kind of a get rich or die trying attitude. Was above, very smart man, as most of these criminals that make, that make a name for themselves, Al Capone's, John Gotti's and all that, they're of above average intelligence. They just unfortunately use their intelligence for bad deeds, for violent crime. Very violent man, and he was arrested early on in his career. This was one of the two changing points. But in jail is where he began to meet people that were moving into the cocaine trade. The late 70s, cocaine began to make its way here and into the United States. It was a drug that was very expensive, that was used by very successful Americans and other folks in other countries, but mostly talking doctors, lawyers, Hollywood actors. Some movies that show this is Studio 54, if any of you have seen that. The movie Blow with Johnny Depp predicts, shows a little bit of that. There are a lot of movies that have shown that. So it was a very rich, these people were called in the documentary weekend warriors. So they were lawyers that worked very hard and they played or partied hard, as they said. Drug-fueled sex parties, etc., etc. So little by little, the demand for cocaine was growing, and the exportation here of marijuana to the United States was not feasible anymore. Or they just realized that, hey, why are we going to send 100 pounds of marijuana to the United States when we can send 1 kilogram of cocaine? A lot easier to send, a lot more profitable, easier to get through checkpoints, etc. He began to grow his notoriety and was able to actually make it into politics. He had illusions of becoming president and actually was elected as an alternate congressman. This was a big mistake for him because he put himself in the public figure. People said, who is this man that has all this money and wields all this influence? A young man who was the equivalent of the Attorney General at that moment, began to call him out and say, hey, this man is a drug dealer and he's wielding all this influence because of all the violent acts and all the drugs that he's selling. Escobar was very offended by this. He went on Congress floor and told him, you have 24 hours to bring all this proof that you're saying that I'm a drug dealer, etc., etc. This man, Lara Bonilla, went, got his criminal records from that prior arrest that I spoke to you about, and they were able to actually oust him out of Congress. Within a month or so, Escobar killed the Attorney General, Lara Bonilla, in a drive-by shooting as the man was transporting himself home. And it began a war with the government. He very much championed his fight as the poor of Colombia versus the Bogotá elite. Most of our very elite, wealthy families have roots in Bogotá. Our wealthiest citizens, and you can date back some of their family history to colonial times, are from Bogotá. So he began this war with the government. He began to garner a lot of support in Medellin by spending a lot of money, building soccer fields, feeding people. He even took about 90 families that were living in a garbage dump and built them a brand new neighborhood, a very affordable, very economic homes. That neighborhood still stands to this day, and he just gave away free homes. Just tons of different Robin Hood-like things that garnered him a respect and admiration for people here. At that time, the dollar was very strong, and he was paying a lot of money for different kind of activities. Here you see the valley of Abu Ra, or the Abu Ra Valley. Pull up to this good view that Raul will pull up on the right. I'll explain a little bit of what you see. In Medellin, 11 o'clock, the airport that you'll fly out of on Monday, and this building here is the Colombia headquarters, and you can see the city or the valley of Abu Ra there. If anybody would like to come and take a picture, you can follow me. That airport that you see there, straight from here from me, and what you're looking at is the beginning of the south of the city.
What's the mountain range around? Is it still the Andes?
Yes, this is still the Andes Mountains. It's in the middle of the city. It's called Nutibara Hill. This large building here on the left and has a pedestrian walkway. In between it is the headquarters for our largest bank, Colombia. The airport is over there, which you see the big green. And that would be the north of the city, and this will be moving south. And you folks will be tonight in this area, the south of the city, which is the more modern and more affluent area. The north is the more economically challenged, and the south is. And then the center of the city, or the downtown area, it's kind of hidden by these trees. You'll visit on Monday. That's where most of the commercial areas, the museum that you'll be visiting, the Botero Museum, and some of the things are in the center or the downtown area, as we like to call it here.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, adorable.
Oh my God. Well, good for you.
I go here in January.
You'll see this area now is called Poblado. This will be the area that you're in tonight, a little bit, not this high up, but you will be in the southern end of Medellin. They were making about $60 million a day. $60 million a day. They were spending $2,000 a month just on rubber bands to tie up the money. They began to actually put money away in 55-gallon drums, burying it, buying up lands all over Colombia to be on par with the Bogotá elite. And they began kidnapping, killing, just a very vicious war with the Colombian government. Especially since at that time, the United States was able to pass kind of overnight legislation that would have been the death penalty for any drug capo or any drug lord that was convicted, and extradition as well. This put a lot of fear in Escobar. This put a lot of fear in the drug or the underworld here, because they didn't want to go to the United States. Escobar even said, "I prefer a tomb in Colombia than a jail cell in the United States." At that moment, the Americans began to pour a lot of money in. They began to build a team called the Search Block, which was helping track down these men. Escobar and his cohorts actually turned in one of their own leaders, because this young man was becoming very volatile, was using a lot of cocaine. He killed somebody inside Escobar's home, and he was rumored to be having homosexual relationships with young men, which is a very big no-no in this macho world of these drug dealers. So they turned him in. The man was extradited the next day. His name was Carlos Leder. He is still alive and well. There are two running theories. One, he was sentenced to life plus 70 years. But there is there was a news, the equivalent of Time magazine here. There's an article that came out that says he is free now and he is living in the witness protection program in the United States because he helped take down Manuel Noriega of Panama. Now, Escobar had the Panamanian government in his pocket, and he was able to overturn extradition in the actual Colombian constitution. So once they knew that this was no longer a binding deal with the United States, Escobar, they called Escobar and they told him, hey, this is the deal. You know, you have billions of dollars now. You can't spend them. You're the most wanted man in the world. Turn yourself in. Some of the real hard criminal crimes that Escobar committed to this moment, he brought down an Avianca airline plane, killing 110 citizens, 110 people, one American citizen, which also changed the tide of what the Americans wanted him for. There was an American citizen on that plane. 110 people who died on that plane. He also brought down the equivalent of the FBI building here in Colombia, the DAS building. Over 600 police officers were killed. There goes, that is one of these flower things that they will be displaying. That is done with all natural flowers. It's coming right now. It's Miller Lite again, there it is. But those are all flowers. Miller Lite and Hooters, how Colombian. How Colombian, right? Miller Lite and Hooters. Can't get more American than that, can you? See some around, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of taste of the flower festival. But that was one of them for Miller Lite there. All right, so continuing that way. All right, so like I said, Escobar, and this to me is the most astonishing fact of all. During this time, the reason he brought down that airplane, there was a presidential candidate that was set to fly. That was a flight leaving Cali, a southern city. They gave him a package or a briefcase, sort of, with bombs in it. And they told him, once the airplane takes off, open this package up. The young man did not know what was in that package. He was under the impression that it was something else. It's an astonishing fact to me. It blows my mind every time that I read it or see it. In that presidential election, he was able to kill 3 out of the 5 candidates. 3 out of the 5 candidates for the presidential. That young man, Cesar Gaviria, was actually found at he deemed it too dangerous to fly. He said, I'm not taking that plane. He had bought the ticket and everything, backed out of that flight, and that flight took off in the air without him, and those 110 other souls perished because they thought they were going to kill him there. So that man actually did win the presidency election. They gunned down a presidential candidate that was a shoo-in, and all these men were pro-extradition. They gunned them down, and that's very violent. They have very violent footage of that online, and that killing Pablo as he went up on stage, and they kind of went up to him with a automatic, like an AK-47, and was killed during a political speech. So 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5 presidential candidates. You can see the long reaching. Anyway, so these were some of the crimes that he was. 600 police officers were killed because he put $2,000 reward on killing any police officer. So if somebody had a crime and said, hey, Ernesto calls up and say, hey, my house just got robbed, and 3 or 4 police units would come and they would rush them, kill them, as it was a fake call. So some of those things are happening. Anyway, he was given the opportunity to turn himself in. No extradition was guaranteed. He jumped all over it, but before that, he bought an old mental hospital in the hills of Envigado, which is the next southern city. He actually did some construction work to it. He said, I'll turn myself in, but I'm not going to that regular jail where the Ochoa brothers are. You house me in this place. They brought correctional facility officers there, and this became a 5-star hotel. He was in and out of there. He had prostitutes coming in. He had a lot of different projects. This here, folks, is the Medellin River. This is where they used to have that flower festival, but this we'll talk about tomorrow. They're going through a huge project here called very similar to the Big Dig project that took place in Boston, as they're burying the highway and they're making a 6-kilometer outdoor park. So with all these crimes, the United States was livid that they were given this opportunity to turn himself in. He was sentenced to only 4 years, and other authorities began to look for him as well. He was also able to, the French authorities and other authorities were looking for him. So he's in that jail, in and out of there, just living like a king. And the United States was very livid because they were tightening the noose on him. Some time goes by, and his bodyguards actually went to a lesser cohorts in the Medellin cartel, and they had $20 million that were rotting away due to weather damage. His bodyguards took those $20 million, they brought it to that jail. What you had to do at that era was you had to buy the drugs from Escobar, you had to buy the route into the United States, so he would sell you a safe way to get the drugs. They had landing strips in Tampa Bay, they had just a lot of ingenious ways to get the drugs in. And you had to make a monthly payment that usually went towards dynamite, weapons, and other things to fight the war against the government. These men go to the jail and say, hey, those $20 million are rightfully ours. We've been doing everything you asked. We buy your drugs. You sell us the routes. We're sending money towards that shipment. And a fight ensues. These men are killed inside the jail, never to be seen again. Nobody knows to this day what happened to their bodies. This, in turn, this family goes to the government, tells them this is what Escobar is doing at this place, and they form a vigilante group that helps the government hunt down Escobar. Escobar at that moment had built a 1,000-man private army. They turned against him, and they were very, very powerful. Other drug lords from the southern part of the country turned against him, and they began to do very brutal, very heinous crimes, public hangings, killing anything and everybody that was known to Escobar at that time, around that. The government sends a faction to the jail and says, you can no longer stay in this jail, it's like a hotel, we're going to go take you where the Ochoa brothers are. He thinks they're going to send him to the United States, so he kidnaps the government officials, and in the middle of the night walks out of that jail, never to be seen again. He killed these very loyal people in his faction. People are saying, hey, Escobar can't be trusted anymore. He's becoming very volatile. Interesting fact, he never did cocaine, wasn't a drinker either, did love marijuana, was a very big marijuana smoker, but he never knew what all this fuss about cocaine was, because he never tried it or did it himself. So he flees there, he comes back to Medellin, he's losing a lot of his support. During this time, a bomb goes off near his family's home, which damages his young daughter's hearing. He had a young daughter and a son and was married to a woman. His wife turned a blind eye to all his infidelities, and he loved young women and prostitutes, sex parties, etc. His wife became an avid art collector and was spoiled by the riches, so she turned a blind eye to that. He tries to send his family to the United States for safety. The U.S. government meets them at the airport and cuts up their visas. Then they send them to Germany on a Lufthansa flight. The Americans also do a good job of telling the German authorities that they can't let them in the country. They send them back on the same plane. The family is then put into the Tequendama Hotel, a very luxurious hotel at that period of time. This is 1993. And what they do is they begin to monitor the communication between him and his son. They take all the patrons out of that hotel. They bug the whole hotel. Escobar continues to call his son daily, talk to him. He's grooming him to be the man of the house. And also all his associates are being killed at this moment. Lawyers, anybody that was remotely linked to him was being very brutally killed. The U.S. State Department was training the Colombian search block, and some of these tactics were being funneled down to this vigilante group. A lot of men from here, because they realized that they were training these men, and these men were then sending these secret training things to this very brutal and very violent group called Los Pepes. So the State Department got very weary, pulled a lot of men out of here. They had still some men on the ground. And the Colombian government at this moment gave them a green light to do anything they wanted. Basically went against the Constitution, and you had foreign boots on the ground. You had a small team of Delta Force. You just had a small unit of American personnel here on the ground, which is against the Colombian Constitution at that moment. They continued to make some headway. They began to listen in. They began to tighten the noose around them, as they say. And they made a lot of headway. They continued to listen to his conversations, but at that time he was using these very big satellite phones that were very hard to track, and he was mobile. He was moving around in taxis, not stationed in one place, hanging up within 2 to 3 minutes, so they didn't have a long enough conversation to track him with. But one day his son was given an interview, but they gave him the questions beforehand. They said, hey, these are the 10 questions we'd like you to answer. Escobar was very media savvy, so he told his son, I'm going to answer those questions. They gave the young man kind of the questions beforehand. So Escobar was answering these questions to his son. I want you to answer this way and this way and that way, because he wanted all this propaganda, you could say, to be published. They're hearing him talk, but they can still not triangulate exactly where the signal is coming from. He actually sets an appointment with his son. Tells his son, I'm going to call you today at 4 o'clock. So they're waiting for these phone calls. Now, during this time, they had really kind of minimized the search block team, because there was hundreds of police officers, Colombian police officers, and a lot of information was leaking out. So they made a very small team, and some of the people that get the most credit for the takedown of Escobar was a family called the Martinez family, Captain Hugo Martinez and his son. And this man was one man that survived a couple of attempts on his life, as he killed a lot of these police officers. And he was a man that was very loyal. He never wanted his son in this battle, although his son was put there, and his son became the specialist of the listening devices. These were brand new listening devices, or very new, that had not been tested on the field. So they were making headway with these because they were just learning how to use it. The Americans had spent millions of dollars on these listening devices, and they had not yet perfected or tinkered with them on how to use them properly. The young man Martinez was on the ground in these vans that were outfitted for listening. They began to hear, and they did a lot of fruitless raids because the coordinates that were being given were wrong. So when he spoke, they would say he's at 45 north, 60 west, etc. They'd send tons of people there, and nothing. Nobody see. They said something is wrong with this equipment. We're hearing him, we're getting the coordinates, but when we raid the place, it's, nobody was there. You could just tell it was just completely the wrong place. So that day at 4 o'clock, sure enough, he calls. He's talking to his son, grooming him. Like I said, his son had become very arrogant. His son now, his mother and his daughter all moved to Argentina, so they have found political asylum there. They were hiding for a long time, but they have resurfaced in the last 5 years. His son wrote a book recently. Within the last year, he published a book. His wife and his daughter, they have all came out of hiding, as they had different names, but they still currently live in Argentina. His mother and father and some of his family passed away there. So the young Martinez is driving, he's listening to Escobar, and he figures out, just because he begins to tinker with the machine, he realizes that something is throwing off the signal. He realizes that it's a small body of water, that somehow the signal is being redirected from there. He's listening to Escobar talk to his son live on the phone. He's driving, and he realizes, I'm near the place. He can see that it's kind of, I think the word they use is pinging. It's sending off the pings, and he knows that he's in the immediate area. The actual water body was this little creek that runs alongside here. As he's driving, it's a stroke of just sheer coincidence, because he knew that there was listening to, and he knew that, so he's listening to Escobar, he's driving. Escobar had become very, very paranoid, checking and peeking out of the window constantly. He had become very heavy and had gotten some health issues. So Escobar popped his head out of the window, looking to see who's going by the block at the exact very moment that this young man was driving. The actual window to the house is here on your right-hand side. It's this home with the gate around it. As he pops his head kind of through the window, the young Martinez sees the pings, hears the pings, the machine is beeping. He realizes, he calls his dad and he says, "Dad, we got him. This is the place. I just saw the man. We're listening to him right now. The machine's going off." They send hundreds of police officers here, helicopters, etc. They tell them, "Please surround the house, make sure nobody gets in or gets out." What they do is they break through this door here. They break the door down. Escobar's still on the phone. He's overheard telling his son something is up, and he drops the phone. We're gonna go around the back really quickly. His bodyguard, he's living there with just one bodyguard at the moment. The bodyguard runs out of the window. He runs through it, out on a rooftop that we'll see right now, and he's gunned down immediately. The impact of the bullets actually bring him, and he falls off the roof. Escobar follows him right outside this same very window. Barefoot, he has 2 handguns on him at the moment. He's said to be extremely calm. This rooftop that you see here, it's the silver window that's over there, that's boarded up. So he runs out of there. Escobar is more calculated in his movements, okay, because he takes his time, he's shooting, he's yelling vulgarities at the police. He is shot, but he falls on that rooftop. He does not fall off. These were non-fatal shots. It was one to the torso, one to the leg. So he was still alive and well.
Where were the snipers?
They were all over the place. Yeah, on the rooftops. They had climbed on the roof as well. So eventually he is actually Captain Aguilar, second in command of the search block, goes on that roof and actually puts a shot in one ear and out the other. While he was laying there, non-fatal wound. So they could have took him alive, but remember the mission had changed from capturing Escobar to killing Escobar. There's been a lot of conspiracy rumors, a lot of different things that have been said. The Americans are the first to be notified. They send a team here to verify that it's him, and the young man from the DEA takes a picture, just him and Escobar. They kind of prop the body up. If you go online, you'll see some brutal pictures of him, and they're all kind of celebrating around him. But this young man from the DEA took a picture, just him and Escobar. This picture made the front page of a lot of newspapers and a lot of major magazines. So that's when all the theories of the conspiracy theories that the Americans had snipers. The Americans did have enough time to get here if they wanted to. But it is the official version that the Colombian police, Captain Aguilar was the one that actually put and he is interviewed in that piece that I told you about killing Pablo on YouTube. So it's very interesting to see him still alive and well. Captain Martinez and his young son are still alive and well, and these were men that helped change the tide. Escobar was only 44 at that time, so extremely young. When he died, his family was extorted for a lot of his wealth. A lot of his properties, for example, were bought under different names. So if I'm Escobar and I say, and I buy 20 houses, but I put them under Ernesto's name because it's just easier not to be tracked. Once I die, Ernesto says, "Hey, I got 10 free homes," you know. So a lot of these properties were then taken by the people whose names was, because they were legally theirs. All the paperwork showed that. His wife was extorted for tons of money, tens of millions of dollars by that same vigilante group, Los Pepes. That vigilante group became a major headache for the Colombian government, as they took over the drug trade, the Cali cartel. They were later arrested and extradited, but not before they were able to do some more damage to the country. Are there any questions or any things that may not be clear?
What's that? Where's Escobar's body?
He was killed in 1993. The question here is when was he killed? 1993. And the question in the back is where is his body? There is a cemetery outside of Medellin in a city called Sabaneta, which he had bought a plot prior to his death. He had gotten this. In Colombia, you don't have headstones. You have, not anymore, you have kind of the memorials on the floor. But he has kind of a really big area there that where he's buried with his mother and his father. In I forget the name. It's Monte Sacro. It's called the funeral, the cemetery. It's about 40 minutes outside of the city. So he's buried there along with his cousin, mother and father as well, as he bought a big plot that's there to this day.
Do you have other children?
No, he just has those two children. There was rumored to be some love children there. Nobody's ever proven. There's Escobar used to go up to these areas and recruit young men and women for these jobs of being assassins and drug traffickers.
This area used to be called the Assassin's Cradle.